Hello, it's Tina again from Prim Heirloom Designs. And in this video, I'm going to show you how I do the drummer drumming from Larissa Holland's 12 Days of Christmas series, the heads. So again, I'm starting with a 20mm bead. And if you're interested in details on the supplies that I'm using, if you watch the first video on the made and milking, I go over all of that. So this one is just going to show you how I approach making the head. So again, I'm going to start with a center construction line. And then I'm going to try to center it up and down. Okay. And this one, he's got pretty easy eyes. They're just little round beady eyes, we'll say. That's about as close together as I would go. They look kind of cooler if they're a little further apart even. Then I make a construction line for the mustache. And I think this is really important because it keeps the mustache like in the same line. It doesn't end up being at an angle or anything. So I'll then take my pencil and go across. And the approximate distance I use is about 3 to 4 millimeters. I'm at pretty much 3.5 millimeters because I clearly just eyeball it. But yeah, get that line in there. And I basically start at the center and I make a little swoopy line like that. And I try to replicate that on this side. Okay. So now I know that the ends here are nicely horizontal, and that's good. So then I'm going to draw this lower part. Like that. Okay. It's not perfect. It's not going to be perfect. It's, like human faces, it's going to have a little bit of an asymmetric nature. Either way, the mustache sides are going to be hard to get exactly perfect, but that looks pretty good. And then I'm going to come in and do the hair. So I kind of do a little swoop like that. I usually end it just below the eye. And then I come across and then I do another little swoop. And this is, let's see how much that is, maybe a couple of millimeters. Yep, it's 2 millimeters away from that edge of the mustache, and then across like that. And then I'll give a little swoopy line. So then I'm going to try to repeat that on this side. So now you're like, okay, I've got that distance. I'm a little bit below the eye. So I'm going to try to eyeball that and do it over here. Again, people's haircuts are not perfect. So I don't worry too much about this part. It always seems to kind of work out for me. So you can take rulers and try to really make them perfect, but to me that looks fine. And then the final thing is to go around. Got a bit of marker on my finger. I hope that doesn't rub off. That was from when I was doing the made and milking. Okay, and across. Again, you can easily erase any of these lines if they're not working out for you and start over. I do it all the time. I'll start something and I just can't get the angle right or something, so I'll start over. Then I'm going to take my black Sakura. I'm going to do the eyes. Again, don't erase any construction lines for a good 24 hours. Okay, and then I fill this in. Okay, that looks pretty good. You can go for a bigger mustache. Mine sometimes vary. This is a thinner one that I do, but I think it looks great. So I'm going to leave it and now go around the edges. And you will notice I've got a little bit of a crack in my bead there. I don't worry too much about those because I know this guy's got a nice hat that he's wearing. So that'll be covered over, and it's just a little hairline crack. And again, I'm doing a nice wide thickness with my marker around all the edges before I come in with my thicker one. This one I find, this particular head is prone to, if you don't color this in enough at this side and you go to use your thicker marker to fill it in, it will always bleed downwards. It's just how, at least for me, I've messed up a lot of heads by not paying attention to that. So always make sure that I get a good thickness in there. Okay, carefully switch my hands around. And you notice as I'm working too, like I use my hands and I anchor myself, and I really take advantage of any kind of extra support I can give my hands while I work to keep them really steady. And I mean, if you don't have steady hands, these are incredibly challenging to do, which is why I offer the heads ready-made for anybody that doesn't have the confidence or the ability to make these themselves. And I'm just going to go around this edge. Oops, I went up a little bit, so I'm just gonna smooth that out. The back of his head, it doesn't really matter. Okay. And the final thing is I'm gonna take my thick permanent marker and I'm going to go through and fill this in. Notice that I'm holding onto that bead. My fingers on either side, the top and the bottom. Those holes in the bead are really helping me to get a good hold on it. And I'm actually using the marker tip to sort of rotate this around so I can just have less movements and get this done quicker. Okay. And for this one, we did not pre-draw the mouth because this one you don't really need to. Again, I just make sure that I've got a good flow. And oh, I do need to erase the line. So normally I would wait 24 hours before I do this. I'm just going to be really careful when I erase that bottom line so I don't cause anything to bleed. So I want to show you how I do this and just make a little kind of like an oval-y thing there for his mouth. And before I erase those other lines, I'm going to let him sit. So I'll put him aside.